Welcome to this opportunity to have a chat with Pete Littlechild, who is our church community coordinator. So introduce yourself, Pete, and give us a little bit of an idea, because we'll talk about it in a bit more depth. What the heck is a community coordinator? I've heard of a youth pastor, I've heard of a children's minister, I've heard of a senior pastor, but I've never heard of a community coordinator. So give us a bit of a thumbnail sketch.
So yeah, as you say, I'm Peter Littlechild, Community Co-Ordinator for Albany Road Baptist Church. If the truth be known, I think it was just a made-up title. I felt a real call in that, God was calling me not to be a traditional minister, but calling me into a community setting. And if I'm honest, I don't think there was such a role to release me into. So it's been very sort of experimental. And I suppose probably the better title might be Community Connector, as opposed to Community Coordinator. So connecting everybody within the community, and also finding out what the needs are, and then working out how best we can tackle them, or we can get other people to help tackle those social needs, and a lot of networking with different groups, organizations, businesses, individuals, charities, to be able to be as effective as possible as a church without necessarily having to do all the work, I think. I think sort of in a nutshell, that sort of explains the role.
Okay. And it's a great role, I have to say. I'm so glad we invented the term, to be honest with you. Because really what we were doing, I think, was we were tailoring the job around what we saw as your gift, your talent, your passion, your calling, and looking to set you free to pull the church into a greater connection with the community. But I'd be interested to ask, how have you found it by way of receptivity? I mean, people often say in church, oh, well, the world is against us, the authorities want to ignore us. Has that been your experience?
If I'm honest, I think it's all about relationship and trust.
Okay.
And those things don't happen quickly, and they don't happen easily. I always made my mark, say, for example, when we were delivering projects, when I turn up to, say, an event the council were putting on, and different charities would be there, and I'd say, right, okay, if you give me a pot of money, this is the problem I want to solve, this is how I'm going to do it, this is how much it's going to cost me, and this is when I'll deliver it by. And I think by then, delivering on time, normally under budget, and doing what we say we're doing, and not sitting around just talking about it. Because like you, Richard, I'm one of those people who just get on and do, and don't sit down and twiddle my thumbs for the next 3 years thinking about what we're going to do. And I think you build trust, you build relationship, and actually, they've done exactly what they said they're going to do.
Yeah.
They've included us into it as well, and that's what we've managed to achieve together. And then you start building partnership. Interestingly, I mean, one of the most recent things I've just finished doing was to apply for national lottery funding. And it's just amazing how God puts people across your path, and at some point you just never even think, that those people are, I don't want to use the term useful to you, but you never think, well, what's the advantage, and genuinely, I'm more than happy to help anybody, so that's fine. But one of the chaps, when the phone rang, who turned up to the meeting, was somebody I'd met 7 years ago, who had actually worked for the council and is now working for the lottery. And instantly had a connection. We'd had a relationship. He knew what we were about as a church. He knew what I was about, on regards of sort of promising my word and delivering. And I think that really, really helped us to be able to secure some funding.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's been interesting right the way along the way since you started the role that most of the significant stuff that we have done in the community and most of the significant funding that we have got has come out of relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
been really interesting, where
Yeah.
they trust us and we've built sufficiently strong a relationship with them that we trust them. And it's been fantastic. Some fantastic partnerships,
And
definitely.
and I think it's the openness as well you do things with,
Yeah,
even down to say, you know, now we use a strategic hiring model, which was, basically, we invented as a leadership. Um, but even when somebody phones up and says, I'd like to hire the church, the first thing I'll say is come and see it.
yeah,
Come
yeah,
and see it. Come and meet us. Don't just say you want to hire us. Come and meet us. What are you doing? And 9 times out of 10, I find actually the hire is the smallest part of the
yeah,
relationship, because you
yeah,
find out that actually, oh well, this person does this for a living or they do that, and that sort of manifests itself then, later that year, in 2 years' time, 3 years'
yeah,
time,
yeah.
or it might be I need a favor. Oh, I know that person does music. The local school's phoned up and they're stuck for an instrument. I'll phone them up, and you've already got that relationship with them because you've been open and welcoming and, and wanted to share what you've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that's been interesting about hiring is that we've not gone out of our way to make money particularly. That's been a bit of a byproduct, hasn't it? One of the things that we've been really concerned about is, does the hiring of this building to these people help to address the need in the community? And second, does it fit with a sense of kingdom value, even if they're not of our faith or are they of no faith at all?
Yeah, I tend to classify people, I think, as people of peace.
Yeah,
Um, there's a great guy who used to own a restaurant down the road who's a Harry Krishna, and he would come to me all the time. Oh, Pete, I need help with this, or I need help with that. The fact he's a Harry Krishna didn't make any odds to me, but he was a genuine man of peace who
yeah,
he wanted the same things as we wanted in a way. He wanted to see a better, happier, healthier community. And why not work with him to do that, And funny, I bumped into him the other day in town, but he's now moved away and whatever, but he still remembers the relationship. And he's like, next time I'm down, I'm popping in to see your church.
very good.
So, and again, we gave them some advice, and actually, the Hare Krishna temple got some funding down in the Bay as well.
Okay, okay. That leads to my other question, and in some ways, in some people's minds, it'll be a biggie, and that's, how does this fit with mission? How does it fit with Jesus? And I know you've thought that through, and I know you've got quite a clear picture on how, meeting social need and mission go together. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I think at the start of the role, um, it was a very different church. It was a very traditional model, and I think we thought we were good at mission, or I think we thought that what we thought mission was maybe going abroad and specifically spending 2 weeks somewhere
Yeah,
or 6 months somewhere. And I think what I've managed to do with the leadership in the time I've been in role is actually to start being an outward looking church rather than an inward looking church. I mean, not that there was anything wrong with it. I think it's just the advancement of where we've got to now. But for example, we'd put a church fair on, and half the church would turn up and put the fair on. The other half would turn up maybe with a friend and attend the church fair.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas when we did, say, the Jubilee celebration, the whole church put the event on and the whole community turned up. And I think the realization, and I suppose the way I enable is to say, look, this is what we want to achieve, but we don't have to do it single-handedly.
yeah,
As long as we stick to our values, which I think is super important, and don't dilute into society, yet act in a way where people question why we're doing what we're doing, and set us apart as being different. Well, why do you do that? Well, it's because we're
yeah,
Christians. and then you can share your story, or you can tell them a little bit about Jesus. And I think, even down to volunteering, we find it in churches. We are a church the same, where you've got very few people who are volunteering. It's the classic, isn't it? I suppose that the harvest is great and the workers are few, but um, to be able to turn that and say, but where do you work? Oh, well, I work for so. Oh, right, okay. Well, do you not have volunteering days? Oh, yeah. So could you bring your whole work team to a project, so actually your whole work team can experience, what we're doing? Oh, well, yeah, hang on. Let me get back to you. And next thing you know, you got 10 volunteers from one person, and all external to the church. And I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
the key enablement of my role, and what I do as well.
Yeah, and that's been really interesting. I mean, it's always been fascinating when they've arrived and they're all a bit sort of, "Ooh, this is a church, are they going to ask me religious questions or whatever?" And then they settle into whatever the project is, and they come to you at the end and they go, "Thank you, I've really enjoyed that. Tell me when you're going to do another one." And they sort of get it. They sort of get that we're looking to reach out with love, and they even sort of get that it's about Jesus, and it raises all sorts of interesting questions as a consequence. Not maybe then, but at some future date. It's been really interesting, and I think the other thing that's really struck me about it is that we can often think that it's us working for them, rather than can we recruit them to help both themselves and us. And in so doing, give ourselves the opportunity to witness to them, because actually now they're feeling fulfilled, now they're feeling fruitful, now they're feeling that they're valuable, and they're offering value and worth, and they sort of want to know, well, why is this? Why do I feel like this, and why are you doing this? And it's been really interesting to see how that develops. So how do you see it developing in the future? What would you like to see it be like in the next couple of years?
Well, I mean, obviously we got this massive building redevelopment, which is
It's a
finally,
killer.
thank Lord, finally coming to the point where,
Yeah.
the building work's happening, and we'll have the building back next year. And I think that's got to be our big game changer. We've spoken for years saying we're brewing something. We're on the edge of something,
Yeah.
and we're not
Yeah.
quite sure up until now, really, I think, what it's been or what it's about. Um, and I do think that this will enhance our community engagement massively. And interestingly for me, not just in the building, which is quite ironic, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
but actually to use it as a hub to come out from the building, to release people into their giftings. You know,
Yeah.
it might be that they start in the building or they have an office in the building, but actually, some of the concepts we've got as far as a circular economy for charities within our building, how, we're intentionally going about kingdom work with a kingdom attitude. And I
Yes.
think that's what's going to be the changer, is
Okay.
not, oh, well, let's just have a nice building and invite the community in and maybe we'll hire a few rooms. But the intentionality of helping people in the name of Jesus
Yeah. Yeah.
is what will set us apart.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Fantastic. Thanks ever so such a lot. I think that gives people a bit of a broader picture of what you actually do, both for the benefit of those in the congregation, but I think it's actually going to be a really useful thing for people to hear in terms of their own thinking in other churches. And part of we've always said, haven't we, that whatever we learn, we want to be able to share. And so, if there is anybody that wants to have a conversation and find out a bit more, then please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you, and do what we can to help you. And maybe, and I don't mean maybe as in it's unlikely, but maybe we can learn things from you, because we're always looking to learn and we're always looking to find new ways of doing things. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with the old ways, but the world is changing and we need to change with it. So thanks, Pete. That's absolutely brilliant.
Pleasure.